Welcome to day 27 of this 30-day weight loss challenge. In today's lesson I'll be sharing and telling you the difference between a person who's thin, maybe compared to a person that is overweight. A person that's thin will naturally do things differently than a person that is overweight. So by sharing these differences with you, you can then begin to bring your way of thinking so it matches that person who doesn't have a weight problem. So one of the first differences then is that of comfort eating. A person that has a weight problem may use food as comfort. So maybe that person is going through something stressful, something emotional, and that person then might turn to food as comfort, might turn to chocolate, to something sweet. Whereas a person that doesn't have a weight problem, yes, they still go through stresses, they still go through those emotional events in their life, but when they go through those things, they deal with those things without food, without chocolate, without sweets. In a sense, they know that food isn't going to take away those negative emotions. The next point then, a person that has a weight problem against a person that doesn't have a weight problem is a person with a weight problem might eat even though they don't feel hungry. So they're not hungry, but they'll just have something just for the fun of it, whereas a person without a weight problem probably only eats when they do feel hungry. Person with a weight problem might eat due to external cues. So they see something on television, they see an advert for a particular item of food, and a person with a weight problem then might actually then go and buy that particular item of food, even though they don't really need or want it, where maybe a person who doesn't have a weight problem isn't really persuaded by things that they see on TV. It's also important as well as that when you think about when you go to the supermarket, when you go shopping, supermarkets want you to buy more than what you really need. So I've found that, and a lot of people, my clients have found that, and it can be really useful when you do go shopping, is to actually think before you do go shopping and actually make a list. Make a list of the things that you need for that week, for that month. Think about the meals that you want, and then from those meals, think about the ingredients, the things that you'll need to buy when you then do go shopping. If you then take that list to the supermarket, to the shops, the stores, you then are not going to be persuaded by those tactics that supermarkets will often use. Now, a person who has a weight problem might eat too quickly, will eat unconsciously. And during I think it was day 3 of the weight loss challenge, when I went through the eating plan, one of the things that I taught you was to actually have your meals at the dining room table. That way, and turning off the TV. That way, rather than eating too quick, rather than eating unconsciously, you can slow down. You can actually enjoy what you're actually having. You can actually then begin to eat consciously. And that then brings us to the next point, by, in a sense, eating consciously, by slowing things down. Then when you feel full, you can then stop eating. If you watch a naturally thin person, when that person generally feels full, they'll stop eating. So by slowing things down, by eating consciously, when you then feel full, you can also stop eating. And also in day 3 of the weight loss challenge, I also talked about that particular client who just felt guilty leaving food on his plate. So one of the things he did was bought a smaller plate. That way, yes, he still finished everything on his plate, but he was having a lot less by having the smaller plate. Now, one of the biggest difference between a person that has a weight problem compared to somebody that doesn't have a weight problem, Many people with a weight problem place too much emphasis on the scales. A person with a weight problem, especially if they've been dieting, will have that kind of mentality, I've been good this week. And by having that kind of mindset when they get onto the scales, they kind of expect the scales to be actually show that they have lost weight. If they then get onto the scales and they haven't lost weight, they then might think, well, what's the point? What's the point of doing this? And then forget about what they've done, forget about maybe how far they've actually travelled, put the weight back on again. A person without a weight problem views the scales as a measuring device. The scales are just really showing them where they are at that present moment in time. A person who hasn't a weight problem, if they step on the scales and the scales show that they are overweight, they'll do something about it. They won't feel annoyed, they'll just get themselves back on track. They'll do something to actually get themselves back into that range of where they feel comfortable. And that's one more thing it's really important to do. I should have said during day one when I got you to set goals, getting you to think about your weight goal. Now with regards to weight, it's important that that goal isn't static. So let's imagine a person wanted to be, I don't know, 11.5 stone or maybe 70 kilograms. Now it's important that it's not a static goal, because week by week your weight might change. One week you might be, I don't know, 71 kilogram. One week you might be, I don't know, 11 stone, 8 pounds. So it's important that the goal isn't static. You've got leeway either way. So maybe 1 or 2, 3 or 4 pound either way. So in a sense, as long as you're within that range, then that's a comfortable range for you. If for some reason you go over that range, then you can then do something about it to actually get yourself back into that acceptable weight range for you. Because a person without a weight problem, when they get on the scales, they'll have that weight range in mind. And if for some reason, as I say, they go over that range, they'll do something about it to get themselves back into that acceptable weight range for them. Another technique that you can also do, especially if you've got friends or maybe family, colleagues who aren't overweight, really begin to watch, monitor the things that they actually do when they're having a meal, and then begin to copy, begin to apply some of those principles in your life. Because if it works for that person and you apply those same principles, then that approach will work for you.